welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of long-time friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and kind of be like just about every normal D&D table, virtual or otherwise, and that we wind up missing half the party sometimes. This is a get well soon for Dawn and Brian, and good luck to Lindira because she's having to kid wrangle, and given the number of times we've had kids barging, that's a lot of wrangling. Not to mention Pim Pim. Previously, the Cupcake Coterie is actually attempting to get as much shit done as possible in between dealing with things within Anbir. They got their primary objective done, which was more or less free the Protector Aasimar from their Scourge Aasimar created house arrest. They did that. It worked out relatively well-ish, kind of, sort of. But it has left a couple of minor issues in the form of some of the Scourge Aasimar actually fell in the process of all that. They managed to escape any kind of consequence for the time being, and are now apparently wreaking little bits of havoc. How much havoc it might be, we're not entirely sure, because, well, everybody's just trying to get their shit together right now. There's also the fact that doing that, obliged Bahir Zet, the governor of Zlator and the points surrounding, well, had to reveal himself as an ancient gold dragon, and thus out the rest of the governors of Equitas as ancient dragons in their own right. Despite the fact that we've had at least one person saying, well, he could have just flown away after that. No, not really. How does one explain that? Because that would require an explanation, a pretty significant one. Dragons are a lot of things, but even the best of them aren't that altruistic. But it does mean that the Cupcake Coterie has some apologies to make. They have, for the time being, got through the worst of them, we think, will be the worst of them, by Barnabas's new girlfriend Cherie made a bit of a suggestion, and Governor Zet thought that was a great idea, that we have people who can cast a teleportation circle, some more than once per day. And, they could start mornings by, bopping to a place and do apologies, and then come back and continue to deal with problem. So, they did that with it was Ava and Clarity, who were missing last session, and they stayed behind, at least in part because Clarity thought that having herself there when her last conversation with Governor Bendis was somewhat confrontational, probably wasn't a great idea. So basically it was Ava and Clarity hanging out, which I was going to do a thing, but since we don't have a Clarity, we're just going to have to skim over that one for the time being. Well, these guys got into, with help from Cherie, got into, well, audience chamber, had a bit of a being talked at, rather unpleasantly, frankly. I mean, not as bad as it could have got, but still. And there's supposed to be a make it up to me gift in somewhere in the next 2 weeks. the eventual decision as to which would be the best kind of gift is effectively they're gonna go try and hunt something and well, bring her a trophy from that and tell the story of how they killed it. So they have to actually start thinking about, well, what they're gonna hunt, where they're gonna hunt it, and how to get that done within the next 2 weeks with the other bits and pieces that they have to do. But given that they're traveling to whole bunches of different places, they might be able to, if they think about it hard enough, conflate a few errands. So, we left with you guys still in Alzor High. After having got through the various bits and pieces, and I'm assuming straight back.
So I have a thought. If we're looking, since our objective is to hunt something unique, well, we should, for one, probably check with the place where the brass arrows get their usual, like, because I remember there was a location.
The bounty board is
The
all I'm
bounty,
saying.
yeah, where they had the bounty board. I just wasn't sure if it was called that. No. Anyway, yeah, we should see about the bounty board, see what kinds of things are where,
Yeah, but
because they were probably listing locations.
I mean, we could have a look, but I had two thoughts of my own. One, the possibility of we're gonna have to unlock some shit in the Silver Vault probably to do the research we need to do, which is going to involve some running around, probably the wastes. Actually, three things now that I think of it. Two, we're gonna have to go to the Temple of Nerul for Ava. And I mean, we can do that in conjunction with the bounty board, but that's not unique, really. The whole point of this is that we are supposed to be hunting something that she wouldn't necessarily ask anyone else to hunt. And that brings me to number 3. Another place where we might find things that might go into the Silver Vault. I'm thinking about Egref's Academy. And I'm thinking about a few of the stories I've heard about the place. Tell me that A, there isn't some kind of tunnel to the Underdark somewhere in the sewer systems around that fucking school. And 2, they have natural philosophy departments. And given the amount of blood they've taken from me, from Barnabas, from Froseth, and all the rest of it, tell me that they're not working crossbreeds of some kind.
Knowing Agraf just being Agraf, probably, and also the whole rest of that barony is not barony. The whole rest of that what the hell? I keep getting those crosswired. Anyway, the whole rest of that
Province. It's a province.
yeah, the whole province. Most of that's underground to start with. So because remember Bitey?
Yeah, to be fair, purple worms aren't exactly unique. They tend to be a fairly consistent problem in mining tunnels, from what I've heard anyway. But no, I
There's stuff that just means there's stuff down there, and there's going to be a lot of stuff down there with
well,
teeth.
I remember Clarity talking about the Nothic having come from a hole that probably went down to the Underdark.
Oh, God's above that fucking thing.
So you've got to imagine there's going to be weirder, especially if the natural philosophy students did shit to it.
Agreed.
So that's kind of a multiple birds with one stone situation. The Silver Vault gets classification, taxonomy, pictures, etc., 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 of a whole new species, and we get a trophy that nobody else could possibly provide for them.
Because it is made at least 50%
And
of
one hell of a
strange
story.
voodoo. Oh, Darvin?
No,
Oh, and one hell of a story. Sorry.
yeah, which is kind of part and parcel of the whole thing. Really, it's. I would honestly recommend that our search for something to hunt involves going up to the school, finding the right person to ask, "Hey, hush, hush, quietly," because I know you don't necessarily want to admit to things like this, but there wouldn't happen to be any issues with your natural philosophy department that we might be able to help with. Or check whatever jobs board they have for the older interns.
Asking what happened to escape into the basement.
But subtly. Subtly.
Yeah, and I am not subtle. That's why it's down to you two.
Yes, too.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, Barnabas is. Yeah, I don't know about the two.
I mean, the
He's getting better, but. And let's face it, his best speech to date, from what I'm hearing from you guys, involved him bringing out a sheaf of notes and then tearing it up and dousing people with expletives.
fair enough. He does kind of default to
I mean, it's good for being a bard. It's bad for being a diplomat.
yeah, he does default to the bard insult someone so hard they explode.
I haven't done that in a while. Mostly I'm too busy making him explode other ways, so, you know.
Yeah, I generally default to rant first.
Yeah, and when you try not to...
Not just that was the yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
It was the papers, and it was nigh, and and yeah. Get me pissed, and apparently I do really well.
If that's what you need to spark inspiration, you do you, dude. Now, I seem to recall we were talking about the longer we're away, the more time Clarity and Ava have to think that we might have got eaten.
Oh, return priority. Let's get a move on and
Yeah.
buzz the bounty board and just go.
Well, no, we weren't gonna necessarily buzz the bounty board. We're starting with Egref. If we don't find anything, then we can. I mean, all the bounty board really gives us is a way of making money. I think, given the dragon horde, we have enough money.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So let's find a decent-sized patch of cobblestone and let's do this shit. Yeah, and
Oh, glory to teleportation and alakablam.
poop back onto the street of the Happy Wanderer. And Sheree is right. I'm supposed to be on holiday, and this is going to be. And Barnabas just. All things considered, given that what happened to Hazel's father's house and all of that, I think maybe some of us should be with people, at least for the day, at least till we figure out what we're doing. I mean, sure he is just, I have a bodyguard, apparently. Well, you can always bring me back to apologize to, well, dragon folks in the morning. Yes, that could very much be a thing. And Farida is just, yeah, Hazel, I think, I think he's right. And while I know that your father was still working up to being with you. Maybe when we meet back up with Clarity, I could take her and we could watch after. I mean, I know she's with the governor right now, but I know they're with the governor right now, but they're probably going to want to do things today, like, I don't know, find a place to live that isn't the governor's manor. And, replace things, because the man had the bee slippers, and you probably want shoes. I kind of want the bee slippers, but my claws would go right through them, and that would just not work very well.
There's probably a version that do exist that would work, but we're only going to find that in one place, and that's Agraf.
Well, we're going there at some point anyway, so and as you're walking towards the hill with the bone orchard atop it, Alice is like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to think up an order to do this in
Mm-hmm.
because the other three places we have to go each have reasons that we might want to stay longer. I mean, obviously we can hop back and forth as we need to on further days, but some cases that won't quite work. I mean, on the one hand, popping back to the silver vault to use the silver vault after apologizing to Via Valed is probably our best option on the basis that we're gonna want we're gonna want to go back there anyway after we fight the thing, whatever the thing happens to be. But Egref, we're probably gonna want to stick around just for various bits of resupply and the actual fighting of the thing. And we cannot go through Belarus without seeing the in-laws because Corey will find out and we
Oh,
will
yeah.
never hear the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this conversation as you're walking along and when you get back, Clarity had been petting Michigan, but the red hot second the door opens, Michigan boom out of her lap and then just poof onto Hazel.
Hi.
And
Hey,
scrabbling at the arm to try to get the snug back.
Okay.
someone's happy to see you.
Just being long Griffin and snug.
Ah, I see you and Noop have one thing in common. Auto loaf.
Snug.
And good gods, if Noop could speak in this manner, that would probably be the exact same things out of his face. Scratch, 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 and continue walking in.
Yeah.
You do know speak with animals exist, right?
Clarity is, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll try to teach it to her sometime. And
That'd be interesting.
Farida is just, Clarity, I figured you could help me. I wanted to go and see, Hazel's adoptive dad and her adoptive stepdad. Well, her biological dad, her biological stepdad, her biological step siblings. Because they're probably gonna want to like replace things and maybe it'll be interesting to see how you get a house here. In case of trouble, though, we really should have some way to keep in contact. Flitty from Ryland's Craft. I was thinking that, and I think
Mhm.
Clarity can speak with the animals, and Barnabas can talk to me, so I can sit with the bullman in case of problems. And Michigan, if Clarity can convince him, can go and play with the kids, and she can tell Michigan to find you if there are problems. Obviously, Michigan can find you.
Gonna hold up the. Gonna go from briefly go from letting him loaf to just holding him in the whole like gremlin pose. Yeah, you are remarkably good at finding me and or trouble. Snug.
I'll say it's just same difference, really.
I was gonna say.
No, no.
See, that was on purpose.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for the for the line. I'ma go find the bullman, cause I bet that the organized lady is gonna show him the best carts for lunch. And Clarity does her thing with the hand mark. And Michigan, you okay to come with me and Farida, and you can play with the kids? A moment of mostly staring and the occasional. Michigan says he wants dinner leftovers.
That can probably be arranged.
It's going to be pierogies. The look is very much. I don't know what that is, but okay. And snugs just a little bit tighter, and then onto Clarity's shoulder in pirate's parrot pose. Right, let's go and pick up the. Incidentally, we were all wrong about Hazel's biological father's name. It's Olivand. We'll actually attempt to remember this time. So yeah, exit Clarity, Farida, and Michigan, who is occasionally shooting, looks back at Hazel like, mm-hmm,
Oh.
Going to basically provide as many scritches as often as possible in the moment.
yeah, but obviously they do have to go. And Alice is like, we can generally keep a fairy dragon alive if you can train that one to like sit, stay, flee. Maybe you don't have to send him to Hearthhome right away.
That
I mean, if nothing else, apparently he's great for omens.
yeah, given that he's rapidly proving to be an omen generator,
Is that a
you
good
might be adventuring with us for a while.
Well, by this point, Clarity and Farida have headed out, but Alice is like, if nothing else, Flitty can probably protect him.
That's a team that is got all kinds of implications.
Well, made you told me about how Flitty made Darwin look like one of the Barnacle zombies. You'd like just make Michigan look like a rock or something. No. No. One thing we really should probably do before we go too much further on looking at blueprints and all of the rest of it. Um, One thing I noticed when you guys when you were fighting the enemy Aasimar, put it that way, they weren't very tough, were they?
Weirdly.
The
No.
ones that you met at Olivan's house were tougher?
You're suggesting they've been given something?
I honestly don't know, but I do know that a fair few Aasimar died. These ones got stronger. And,
Certainly worth considering.
well, why do you think I did not kill the ones that tried to jump me when I was trying to get Ollivan and Davith to safety?
You
I
were
don't know for a fact, but just in case. I mean, also just in case some sense can be slapped into them. But, I mean, probably not if they're going after, like, innocent civilians. But, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if them being tougher is a coincidence or a. But I mean, we generally don't have that much issue from guards, not unless there are way more of them than us. But I'm taking it fairly easy to take down at because remember I wasn't there for that. It's just you guys were in a lot better shape with a lot more of them, and you guys with no magic than you were after those ones. So I mean I don't know, but it's been days and we haven't um, done anything about asking. Oh God's asking Alana to speak with dead with Jessamy.
It would be the best way to find out if the and the others are serving something.
If she decides to answer, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, she can't
Mm.
lie,
look at
but
her
she can.
contingencies, I guess.
It's worth a shot either way.
Isn't there a spell that compels truth?
There
There's
is.
a zone of truth, but
I think
I don't know if
yes,
that
there is. I
works.
think it's one
Yeah,
of
that's
them.
well, that's a question we need to ask. Is does Zone of Truth work on Speak with Dead?
That's if Speak with Dead doesn't already do that.
Don't think it does. I mean, I know Zone of Truth, so
Nope. Actually, Hazel knows this because it is a potential cleric spell. I think.
It's one of the ones on the list that I can
Darwin
pray
has it too.
for, yeah.
Yeah, which means she knows answers are usually brief, cryptic, or repetitive, and the corpse is under no compulsion to offer a truthful answer if you are hostile to it or it recognizes you as an enemy.
Yeah,
Yep, that's why Darwin's
they don't
sitting there
have
going,
to, but
nope.
more often they're just so in the beyond, at least if they're not registering the person doing it as hostile.
Oh,
Or an
and
enemy, but
given
we
that,
are.
given that, I think,
If we do it, they know we're partly responsible for it.
yeah, and out of character, this is probably another win for Hazel. Um, Zone of Truth only works on creatures. A corpse is not a creature.
And the whole truth thing, I think it has to be
living thing.
It considers corpses objects instead of creatures.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
So regardless of whether or not the corpse is talking, it's still an item, not a person or a living entity. Or unliving.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it definitely can't be us asking the questions.
I mean, it's Alana casting the spell, right? And if she has ties to Nerul, maybe, I don't know if things work differently for her or not.
I honestly don't know, but what I do know is that A, we probably shouldn't be in the room, and
Yeah, I
B,
was going to suggest that myself.
we need to come up with at least a general gist of the questions, and C, we have to have Niala in there with her to guide the conversation.
There was
Yeah,
one
because we can't just let her ask
Mhm.
random shit. She'll ask random shit.
There was one specific question we
Mm.
wanted to ask her, but I'm blanking on what it was.
It honestly
She's
just
serving
was
someone.
where the where her compatriots were hiding, and we have sewer maps for that.
Mm.
I mean, where can be a part of it, but honestly, I'm going on a what were you trying to achieve,
Mm.
and going from there.
Yep.
But
What were you trying to achieve? Possibly who were you trying who were you trying to serve? Although I don't know if that's a good
I
question or not, but
I don't
something
think
along those
so,
lines.
because it feels to me, from what I saw and what I heard and what you said, that she was the one who wanted to be in charge. I don't
Yeah.
I don't think even dead she'd admit to wanting to serve a master.
Mm,
Besides,
fair.
we're looking at this as a potential black shit thing, and maybe it is, but she might not even know it if it is. She can't know anything she didn't know when she was alive. This isn't her soul coming
Right.
back. This is just the actual meat answering questions. It's weird, but
Soul
Yeah,
after
it is.
image, basically.
yeah. And if the only way that anything like that would be able to work is something unpleasant whispering in her ear and getting her to do a thing, and that probably means she didn't necessarily know. Because, frankly, shit like that only reveals itself when it's too late.
Yeah, she could well have thought the whispering in her head was her own thoughts.
Or her progenitor. They do that. I mean,
Yeah, I'm aware. Yours is particularly loud to all of us.
That's
weirdly,
good
he's less loud to me than he is to the rest of you.
if we knew her progenitor's name, could we contact them separately? I mean, I would hope they're not happy about what happened and they might want to help
Well,
undo
I'd
what's
imagine
damaged.
she looked pretty fallen. What was left of her looked pretty fallen to me, and that's usually an indication that, whether she accepted that or not, I have no idea. But a fall is usually indicative that you've really pissed somebody off. You've really gone against what your progenitor wants from you.
Yep, so they're
Celestial
potentially an
parent drops you
ally
like a hot potato.
with very justified reason.
To be
If
fair,
we
it's
knew their name.
it's less like a warlock losing their patron, and more like a paladin going against their oath. Except
Yeah,
it's soul
celestial
deep.
parent is what I said, by the way, just to make sure I was heard correctly.
Well, I stick with progenitor because I'm first generation, so it's a little less weird.
Yeah.
Particularly given that my progenitor is directly created as servant to be primary servant to a god. Progenitor is easier.
So if
Then the existential panic, the set that the rest of that causes.
It's not even so much that, it's just I keep telling you guys I really don't want to give myself a swelled head. An abundance of ego is not attractive.
Yeah, but so if the Celestia who was formerly connected to Jessamy might have seen exactly what happened, but given they're a Celestial, they can't exactly intervene so directly. So if we could contact them somehow.
Do we? I mean, I know there are ways to. I know there are ways to contact and summon a celestial being. It's pretty high level shit. I don't know exactly how high level, but it is something that clerics can occasionally do.
So
It's also a little rude. At least the way I know how to do it. Well, I couldn't do it, but you know what I mean. It's a planar binding. That's the kind of shit you do to demons.
yeah, that maybe not that way, but
I mean,
if we found
if you know another way,
no, I'm just thinking if we could find their name and which god they serve, then that would kind of be the starting point to figuring out how to contact them.
yeah. I mean, the what god they follow is probably a little iffy because some of them aren't as directly tied to gods as others.
And I'm willing to bet that there's plenty of celestial things that just are celestial things that aren't necessarily solars or anything like out of the god categories we're used to, because there's places like what the southern lands used to be. I'm willing to bet there's stuff in the celestial realms there that aren't winged humanoids.
Well, I mean,
What about like various kinds of firebird or what have you?
unicorns, hollyphonts, floomps.
Wait, what? What's that?
Silent image, floomp.
What the fresh fuckery is?
Apparently, they live in the Underdark.
And that's celestial.
Yep.
Huh.
There's an entire department apparently at the Shrine to Palor in Agref that deals with. Ree was telling me about this celestial taxonomy.
It is very complex.
Oh, blast it!
Coatls.
That's
God, you don't even know what a coatl is out of character.
what. So it's a flying, and it's a flying, basically for the serpent, right?
Yeah, we get snake.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting at all, but the wings seem to be a recurring theme.
Well, from what I've seen of the celestial plane, yeah. And you know, even floomps fly. Well, float.
Celestial jellyfish.
I mean, they're kind of cute. You know what Clarity would say.
They are adorable, and Clarity would want to hug one.
Apparently, again in Agref, you can get plush versions of them.
I'm going to bury her in those.
Apparently, if you hug them, they float.
Aw.
Yeah.
She would love that.
So yeah, I mean, there's degrees. It's just solars are always. There aren't many of them, and they're always direct servants to a god. I am just the result of one of those, and some others might be like several generations back. I mean, I was reading through some of those aasimar notes that the Heskan gave you. Empyreans, Devas, they tend to be less directly connected to a specific deity and are just sort of,
Around.
yeah, basically.
They're just kind of almost part of the plane. But
They don't have quite the same I don't know.
It's not like that. It's not like the hells or what have you, where something in Avernus, there's like some place in Avernus that just spits out new devils or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not worth an ask. It's just that what god they serve might not be a factor. Also, please keep in mind that celestial does not always mean nice.
Now I'm starting to wonder how scary some of them can get, given the types of deities we know exist.
And as you say, it doesn't even necessarily have to be deity adjacent. I've heard a few things about Empyrean's tempers.
I think the phrase I've heard once is just because you're good doesn't mean you're kind.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where the whole...
Pretty sure Barnabas said that at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Although he put it as nice.
Might have done, actually.
He put it as nice. There's a
Yeah,
difference
might have
between
done.
kind and nice.
That would explain certain instances of people seeing a celestial entity for the first time and freaking out.
I mean, come on, what did you
Not as
guys...
a religious devotion thing, more like, ooga booga booga, what is this thing?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, what reaction did you guys have to seeing Ziriel for the first time?
Yeah.
Uh,
Surprise.
I mean,
religious experience.
Well, yeah, apart from you.
I think my first was my first thought I think was something along the lines of quite literally apropos. Holy shit!
Yeah, and actually, Darvin will probably remember the in unison chorus of Barnabas and Clarity saying the exact same thing.
Rylan?
Let's put it at there is a...
I think I kind of...
Sorry.
I don't think I mentally had, like, information overload. Dragon plus Ziriel plus everything.
Yeah, let's put it this way. There's a reason that most
Fair.
celestials in most ballads do tend to kick off with "Be not afraid," and it never
certainly
ever works.
I mean, they were pretty intimidating.
Yeah, it works as an attempt. It's never a
works-
successful attempt.
It works about as well as telling somebody. It works about as well as telling somebody on a suspended bridge to not look down. What's the first thing they do?
Actually, Darvin remembers it. Darvin actually remembers, I think, well, no, actually, to be fair, it was Nye that was there, but the story probably got around. But there was a moment where the first time Hazel met Ziriel was Remy pinning her to the bed and going, "Hazel, don't freak out." And what did she do?
Yeah,
And it's
immediate
almost
religious screeching.
That's one of my top 10 moments from you guys, I swear to God. I am actually currently working on DM's favorite moments. It's going to take a while. Anyway, all well. And Nialis kind of leans into the doorway going, "Okay, there is less of you. What's going on, and are we feeding you lunch?" Alice goes, "I'm going to answer the last one first. No, we're feeding you lunch." What? I'm going to
Let her cook.
I'm going to borrow your kitchen. I'm going to go and get some ingredients, and I am going to return the kindness of your hospitality. And if you don't like it, that's tough.
By the way, we mean that literally, let her cook.
She won't take no for an answer.
Alana kind of peeks through the other side of the door, going, "That's one of the first times I've ever seen her this level of speechless. This is great." Yeah, the governor of Alamavera called me the alpha bitch for a reason. And you, points at Alana, are not allowed to hover over me while I cook. No. Okay. I will give you approximates. And I won't give you funny looks when you try to pick out ingredients and spice levels by taking itty bitty bites. Really? I don't give Hazel funny looks when she does shit like that anymore.
Food causes experiences, some of them religious.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Or
go.
scientific.
I'm going to go and get some ingredients. I'm going to assume that my wife wants to come with me because apparently people that the uh, pissed off Asmar are directly pissed off at are not supposed to go out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Well, we're taking the Feather Express, so I would ask you please to leave the armor switched off until we land.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come back and I am going to cook northern specialties, and there will be enough for the Mobius twins. While while I cook, you guys can explain the. Did you finish the sewing on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've been keeping it in a kind of a bubble of no rot, just in case. I figured that you'd get around to it eventually. I know what it's like. And one time I waited a little bit too long before I did do something like that, and it caused a bit of a mess. There is not enough cinnamon in the world.
Oof.
I never did it again. We had to boil it and give a discount to the individual that that was handling the deceased's. Well, Mr. Bones has served us very well so far. And now I have to retire him. Are you going to keep whining about this until I agree to talk to the descendants again? Maybe?
How many times now?
It's been once every 50 years.
that
She's had
that's
she's had Mr. Bones since before we became immortal.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
So yeah, once every 50 years is more often than you think.
I'm
That's
just
why.
that means whatever magic it is you do to do that, he's remarkably solid.
Thank you. If we are not going, no, his contract runs out at next week. We'll see. If I stop looking at you pitifully and hangdog, will you think about it a little harder so you don't feel like you're rewarding soppy behavior? Probably. Possibly I was actually going to surprise you by doing it without you giving me that look. Not looking, not looking, and leaves at a jog.
That's God's above it is weird seeing that externally.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to find her a bit later because you guys have been in confab, and Alice is like, right, grabs Remy up and bridal carry out the door, and you guys hear as she goes out. I'm gonna have to have the groceries in your lap, by the way.
That's fine.
There goes our resident feathery light bulb and clank wife.
did has anybody talked about the quintessential tall small couple yet? Yes, actually, the portrait artist.
Yeah, we there was an entire portrait artistry thing going on.
Oh yeah, I saw that when I was walking through the. Yeah, you picked a good one.
Yeah, we're slowly developing a running list of just oddball names that get
Oddball
applied
name,
to them.
oddball names and in jokes. I think yours was probably a little bit long-winded.
Yeah, just in jokes for days.
Yeah, I would have thought
I mean,
given.
that's every adventuring party at one point or another.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at those two and thinking godwives.
Thank you. That's a new one.
Yeah, and it's shorter, snappier, and more to the point.
Pretty apropos, yeah.
As slightly separate from the God Squad.
That now I'm curious. Did any of the groups you used to go around with end up with a bunch of jokes?
Yeah, but it was only ever Alana who really told them because Trin was content enough, but sense of humor was very, very low key. And Tanielle, for somebody who was gonna live for a couple hundred years, not the most patient individual. One of those ones that really was good does not equal nice.
Extremely punchy. Got it.
Stabby, more like.
Somehow that's a relief.
Yeah, they were the Teniel and Trin were kind of team stabby.
Stabby.
Well, he was rogue. She was just big sword. And I guess you could call me and Alana Team Natural Disaster. Well, plague of hornets and fungus rather than, locusts and kudzu or whatever. But either way,
Yeah. An alarmingly sparkly plague.
don't even get her started. Certainly do not get me started. The grocery shopping. Actually, I would like. Actually, what is Remy's passive perception?
11.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting a few looks while you're doing your shopping, but none of them appear to be threatening particularly. It's just these people have heard stories. These people have heard what the bards on the Street of Song of making it. No small number of them have seen the portrait, and the play has apparently gone into its run here.
Oh boy.
So nothing you can see is threatening, but you're definitely getting looks as Alice A is picking out various bits of things and looking in your direction like, hmm?
No, nothing.
Is it the same nothing that's making me kind of want to tuck my wings in and kind of hide under them?
Well, we're not being very subtle flying across the city, but I always enjoy it, so I am not.
It's also
Adjusting
the
to the
it's also the fastest way of. Do you want to leave them alone to make sure that the while they're making sure that the appropriate questions get asked. I want somebody with common sense there, and since I'll be cooking, I'm defaulting that to you.
Fair enough.
And then just kind of hands over the canvas bag, groceries, scoop. Whee! And while you guys are hearing stories about Team Natural Disaster, footsteps on the porch and opens door, we have puts Remy down before opening door. We have returned with groceries. Thank you very much, Smooch. I'm going to go cooking now. And partially so that you guys can have a bit of a think of exactly how you want to phrase the short discussion you're going to have with the Mobius twins about the questions that's going to be asked of Jessamy's corpse. We'll take a bit of a break, and when we come back, things. And we're back. We are currently back at the Bone Orchard, and Alice has insisted on doing lunch, although she does pipe when she's leading potentially a procession into the kitchen going, we're still doing that pierogi place for dinner, right? Barnabas would be very disappointed if we don't try it. Probably not too disappointed, because I'm sure he has other things on his mind tonight.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Alana is following the letter of the law. She's sitting at her normal spot around the dining table, watching as Alice chops things, and you see attempting to crane, but not getting into personal space. And Nyala apparently attempting to distract her is like, so you were asking about the corpse.
Yes.
And I'm taking it we're going to be doing the question asking.
We think it'd be
Please.
better, yes.
She's not
one of
going
us.
to be as
Yeah. Forthcoming.
amicable, broadly speaking.
I mean, we've been neutral long enough that which obviously knows who we are, but
You didn't tear her into two pieces.
and Alice 3.
3.
The description was repeatedly trisected. I'm starting to wonder how badly you hit her, because if you hit her hard enough to do that, did you somehow detach even the jaw?
And that does get Alana going. No, I mean, it sheared a bit of the skin off.
Alana,
And there was a couple
Alana.
We don't.
We're about to have lunch.
But you're adventurers. You do that to stuff all the time.
Yes, but
I mean, you can't be squeamish if you actually did that to somebody.
no, but it's polite, isn't it?
That's what we do.
I want this insight check just to try and figure out what the process is, because seeing this from the other side is just weird.
By all means.
I'm just getting flashbacks to, was that spleen or liver that ended up on me that one time?
13.
The general gist is, but I am expressing interest in your work. What am I doing wrong? I'm supposed to express interest in other people's lives.
Remy.
What?
She's trying.
Okay.
She's expressing interest.
But, I mean, it's your work, and I'm sure that took a lot of effort.
Yep.
It,
I
I
mean,
mean, it was quite amazing.
the number of ribs you broke was pretty impressive. Can I see the
Thank
sword?
you.
I mean, I don't think we even laid a hand on her. It
Remy-
was all Remy.
Remy will
It was all
summon the
Rem.
sword and show it to her.
I mean, yeah, it's a great sword, but that still must have taken some torque. Especially the one down the hips, because you smashed through the entire pelvis. There was like fragments. It was so cool.
It was a bit of divine retribution.
It's just really interesting because now I can see how the cuts were made. I mean, there were okay. The flesh was split pretty, pretty cleanly, but obviously you're going through actual, calcified. So smash. Neat.
Thank you.
Niala's just, yeah, welcome to my life. You would never get me any decent
Honestly, Alana,
breakages.
thank you.
Alana's just, you never get me any decent breakages. Yes, that's because I go for eyes, throats, heart. You have too good aim for decent breakage. I am efficient. Bite me.
Oh, dear
Thank you,
gods
Alana.
above.
That whole experience is still a little.
Yes.
It was still an experience. You've given me a different perspective to look at it from, so thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm getting flashbacks to all of the stuff that several lectures on Mount Palor, mostly about trying to put people's insides back inside when you can't magic.
And Alice as the smell of clean, spicy, and probably beef. Is it just I'm thinking about your attempts to turn a ghoul into a pancake. Gassed, sorry.
Yeah, that incident is was an entire thing.
Alana's just tell me.
I was successful. It just all of the liquid that is apparently in most of those went everywhere.
That's the thing. Most
Mostly on me.
Most living or formerly living things are full of liquid.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that much to have stuck to those, given how much was leaking out of their face.
That just means they have liquid to spare.
That's how that works.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well-
if they've eaten something, they've replenished all their fluids by eating things that are full of fluids. They wanted your precious
Well, I
fluids.
was able to save that shirt.
So that explains why, despite all of the, I guess the bracing, the mass in them that was actually hard and not squidgy. Why when I collapsed that with the hammer, everything else escaped.
Well, yeah, because when you put pressure down from there, it's like squeezing an orange. So when you put pressure
right,
at
they
that
burst.
and that, everything goes out that way. Plus, if they have anything like a functioning circulatory system, content's under pressure. So they're looking for any excuse to explode across half the landscape.
And even if they don't circulatory, if they're just resurrected dead bodies, then that's been festering in there and its contents under pressure anyway.
Yep.
And knowing that in hindsight now
I
makes
believe-
me very much double regret that, because that fluid, that was nasty. That I ended up with a
you think?
taste.
Says the one that was wearing most of it.
Niala is
Thanks.
going. Didn't
Love
we
you, Hazel.
have questions to talk about? I
We
take it.
do
I
also-
take
yes.
it. I take it. You want me there to keep Alana on some semblance of track. I can stay on track.
Yeah, please.
The past 5 minutes of conversation. okay, I can stay on track sometimes. You will be distracted by the oozy goodness.
Given the very
Fine.
limited number of questions that can be asked.
Who's
He derailed more
goodness?
spectacularly than something gone wrong in Agraf.
Alice is, at this point, putting down... basically, what you have is sort of half crusty bread roll. And it's like a torpedo roll, but crusty. Um, tucked inside, very thin slices of beef, lettuce, probably some onion in there as well, with a sort of a vinaigrette-ish kind of dressing. Basically, steak sub. Spicier than you get it in Montreal, but still fantastic. And Alana is just...
And now I think we have a moment to figure out the questions.
I made good, apparently.
As far as a starting point, as far as a starting point, I agree with Alice. Say that starting with something along the lines of what were you trying to accomplish, or what were you hoping to accomplish, would be a good starting point.
Yeah, Neil is okay, but gotta be careful about how we phrase that one because it's...
Yeah, obviously.
What were you hoping to accomplish with what exactly? With holding the Aasimar hostage? With slaughtering the Aasimar? With trying to kill people that matter to the people that foiled their plan? There's a lot of things that they were doing to try to achieve a specific end goal. So, I mean, which one matters most to you? Or should we try to ask all three, because all three potentially have some bearing on the other? I mean,
looking at everybody else, going, what do you all think? Because I would start with, what were you hoping to accomplish by keeping them under lock and key, or keeping them in prison? Start there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I guess it probably isn't that obvious that why. But I think then you still have to ask what the point is of slaughtering them. Because it couldn't have been literally to keep them safe if the next step to keeping them from being free is to slaughter them all.
Yeah, because
definitely suspecting that she had different motivations than...
I mean...
She might have been serving something, but she might not see it that way.
Is it possible that she was just so petty that she just wanted them slaughtered because her original plans weren't going to work, and she said, "Well, fuck this, and just I'll make sure that nobody gets anything out of it"? Could she have been that petty?
Alice sort of goes, "You could be, but if you wanted to take the kinder view, what I think Tag's view would have been if it had been him who made that order. Because Tag legitimately thought that death would be better. He was so afraid of the black sludge, the soul taint, they call it, that he didn't want that to happen to anybody else. And if it was a choice between even the barest hint that they might get infected or them dying, he thought death was better. Personally, I think death was better too, but I'm a lot more willing to take risks knowing that you guys are at my back and will make sure that that does not happen. However you want to look at it.
True, and I mean, I can understand, having obviously we've seen what this stuff is capable of in some levels. I can understand why someone would want death rather than that, and frankly, I think I would agree. So I get that, but okay.
I mean, it's not. I mean, obviously, it's insane as a solution, but what they were doing was not precisely the actions of somebody who was being rational.
Not really.
Right, exactly. I mean, the whole situation wasn't exactly sane to begin with. There was a certain logic to it, yeah, but... Eh.
Still makes him the mayor of Crazy Town.
Yeah, but like I say, he was pretty much if
He was being influenced.
if he was the governor of Crazy Town, uh, Jessamy was the stereotypical Grand Vizier.
Yep.
It was the
Yeah.
seneschal to
He was...
it was
Yep.
it was the
It's
seneschal
all
to
over
your
again.
yeah, but it's I mean slightly different dynamic and reasoning, and obviously
Still.
good King Langerhan was trying to mitigate as much as he could without dying, having his entire barony die, and God's only know what would happen to Constance then, but Hazel
I still can't believe
not
I think I actually got through him at the end.
maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You're never gonna know, so pick the one
No, I know.
that doesn't torture you so much over what happened.
Yeah. I'd like to think I did. I like to think it was worth it.
Well, it was still worth it, even if he wasn't listening, given what I knew about the people living in that in that community. Even if it didn't get through to him, just having someone speak for them passionately was a bigger help than you think.
Yeah. Yeah. My other question, though, is thinking about the whole situation. She was influencing him. Was she? What was she influenced?
That's the million gold question.
Hmm.
And if
Yeah,
she's
would she even
aware
know?
of that.
Either she doesn't know, or she
Right.
wouldn't.
Like,
And
how
if
do
she did,
you?
she wouldn't tell us.
She wouldn't tell us.
Either she doesn't know, or she doesn't care, or she won't say.
I think it's worth asking. It's
Well,
just
yeah,
a
she won't say
matter
to
of
us, like you said.
phrasing in a
Try.
way that might get her to admit it. Because she probably doesn't think of it as serving. But if someone helped her, something helped her.
Well, that's the
Again, that
thing.
begs the question.
She fell. The problem that she's gonna have at this point is she would have died thinking, knowing that her progenitor was disappointed in her. I've never come close enough to feel that displeasure myself, but the only real difference between a celestial and an archfey is the flavor of caprice. Neither.
Here's a question. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. I can hang on to a thought better than you can.
Does she know that her progenitor is disappointed in her? So that could be a question.
No, because she knows.
So she is aware that she fell.
Because of the nature of the changes, you'd have to.
Yeah, because the reason that could be a question is just by virtue of if you know that you fell, what did you do that made him angry?
Ava, Darvin, Remy, you know perfectly well she fell, not so much just because of the darker hair and the paler skin. She was doing the threat display. She was doing the flayed wings.
She most definitely fell, and she knew it. I mean, I don't
She
think
was very
she was
deliberate
so.
in her actions.
I don't think she was so crazed as to
Mm-hmm.
not realize that
She certainly didn't.
she was
seem crazy
crossing
to
a
me.
line. She just didn't care. about disappointing her progenitor.
She,
Exactly.
Alice puts a hand to her chest where that hole in her shirt was, going, from the sounds of it, the there was a certain amount of flipping her progenitor off at that point.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and she fell right then, or did she fall before?
Yeah,
I think that was like the
that was my
tipping
thought. Like,
over the edge.
did she fall then, or was she fallen already?
She wouldn't that part she wouldn't necessarily know, because as far as I can tell from what you guys have said, the anti-magic field kept you from noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if they'd been out somewhere and changed, and that's probably why we have more fallen aasimar out there than we think. Some of them may have hit a tipping point when when everything happened, but some might have gone out for patrol. That's a question we should have asked Lend. We were busy when I mean, I didn't think to say this to Darvin, but we were all a bit busy last night. We've accounted for the ones that left the compound, but not everybody could have been at that compound, not at 7 o'clock at night. People would have been doing rounds. How many people left the anti-magic field, noticed that they'd fallen as they started their patrols? How many co you know, patrol partners, I don't know what you call it, did they kill to keep it quiet?
I mean, the question is if any of them did fall before the massacre, because that's the line you can't come back from.
Maybe
Before that, they were being harsh, but not monstrous.
That's the problem. It depends on your progenitor.
Hmm.
You're looking at it as every progenitor's like mine or Jessamy's. Solar's like I was saying, the only difference between Archfey and Celestial is the flavor of the caprice. They all have individual codes, individual lines you can't cross. It's always going to be good flavored, but some are lawful good enough to be, if I can get in, I can fight this situation that is the law from the inside and improve it that way within the law's bounds, like Barnabas might do. Hazel would just go in and hit something until it started behaving properly.
Yeah, my reaction to bad power structures is to run in and hit it with a mallet.
Or an axe.
I was gonna say.
Every person has a different tipping point and morality. Every Archfey has a different tipping point and morality, and so does every Celestial. And let's face it, not all gods are even good, much less kind or nice. I mean,
If someone was influencing Jessamy and commanding her, consciously or not, that might be how she knew which ones which ones could be sent out and which ones had to be kept in the field.
given the numbers I saw when we came down from there, I don't think there were as many as there should have been either. That's something that we might need to do while the twins are asking questions. Because by this point, I mean, when we first talked to Lend, he was trying to make sense of things. Because he'd been, from the looks of it, he'd been off, parked on the outskirts. He was, what, in charge of your jail?
Yep, external the whole time.
So he's trying to figure out numbers, how that correlates with, the original duty rosters, what changes have been made. At that point, he was trying to put out metaphorical fires, and last night he was trying to put out literal fires, and it's probably only now that he's starting to get an idea of what the numbers are like. So it's entirely possible that if we ask him some questions, because he actually is okay to talk to us, while the Mobius twins ask Jessamy some questions, I think, have we given any kind of decent guideline for what kind of information we're looking for? You want to know why she was doing what she was doing in both cases. You want to know who her progenitor is if you can. You want to find out if she had a patron, a partner, which is a better way of saying it than, master or anything like that. And if so, who? And also, if we can fit it in where she is exactly, we probably won't get anything particularly clear. Alana is like, soul imprints are really annoyingly vague, but I am actually pretty good at picking through annoyingly vague for the nuggets of actual information. Yeah, she's been translating for me for generations.
Yeah,
Bit of a total aside here.
that sounds like
adore
about
you
the size
too.
of it.
Sorry, Darvin.
Yeah, Darwin.
Darwin, just bit of a total aside here, but I adore you too. Thank you for everything that you've done and everything that you do. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's actually Alana who's like, this is a house of Paylor as much as Nerul, and Paylor is as much hospitality as anything else. The sun, the sun shelters us all from the darkness. Looks at Hazel. I've had thousands. I've had so long to pick this stuff up.
Understand it. It's just still interesting to hear that. Processing. I'll need a minute.
Okay. It goes back to Nibbles. Thank you for lunch, by the way. Not a problem. We're going to the pierogi place, dinner-wise, probably after we speak to Len. Do you want us to bring you anything? Chew and swallow, Alana. Plain farmer's cheese pierogies, like a dozen, please. If you can, they do a sort of a sausage and cabbage and potato goulash kind of thing. Alice is like, I'm going to learn how to make that. That sounds amazing. And actually, Hazel is going, more things with cabbage? Because it's cabbage is such an easy thing to grow, so.
Yeah, I'm if this is a conversation, this is being had as as sort of an aside conversation.
This is sitting around finishing lunch.
I'm just kind of
literally
somehow made my way all the way around the table, just slammed into view, just behind the dimension of cabbage.
Niala knows that look and is like, that place does some great. I hear, you know what? I'll write down. You're gonna give her the places, and yeah, there's like that place does some fantastic cabbage roll kind of things, and the obviously the sausage, potato, and the cabbage hash kind of thing. There's one place that really maximizes the best use of cabbage in things. Their naming conventions are a little weird, however. They have this potato, cabbage, and random meat leftovers thing that, for reasons I have yet to figure out, they call Bubble and Squeak.
That's a rather weird name.
Yeah, that does sound like weird name. That's weird even for here, given the naming conventions we've heard so far.
The thing, and Alana's like, the thing is that their naming conventions, the naming conventions in most places at least follow a theme. Their other cabbage thing is Colcannon.
Just creak clunk.
They also do pies that aren't.
How?
Meat-ish pie filling topped with mashed potato.
That makes a weird amount of sense, but if I ever said something like that at home, I'd get bopped upside the head for it.
And it's Alice who goes, only if you called it pie, and not necessarily. Are you seriously telling me that you don't think Twilly has ever heard of this stuff?
Oh, no. Mom's definitely heard of it, and probably I would just, not by them, all of my siblings, older and otherwise, would have looked at me like a crazy person.
And then Twilly would have had a wonderful time
I mean,
explaining
that's
the
just
whole
a Tuesday.
In a shell nut.
I mean, them
and if I
looking
ever
at you
said
funny
that
is just a
while in
Tuesday.
town
But,
proper,
Oh yeah, but they'd go home and they'd ask her. So, either way.
yeah. I'm just mean
Yeah.
like if I mentioned that at like the inn in town proper, if I asked for that anywhere in Goldendale, I'd get looked at again like a crazy person.
Possibly.
So Hazel, I take it what I'm hearing is at some point before we're all said and done and we go wherever we need to go, I'm getting you a cabbage related cookbook from somewhere around here.
To start with, yes. Yes, 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 and yes.
Actually, no. You should be getting Twilly a cabbage cookbook from here. And
That is a good point.
And
That
we
is a very good
together should pool our resources and see how many of those food cart people we can bribe into giving us recipes for some of the spicy stuff that Hazel has enjoyed on our jaunts.
Yep, and also
Like the
Rylan.
foom noodles. I've heard about the foom noodles.
Yes, those. And yeah, I'm going to need some assists on possibly raiding those stores again when we're in Agraf. Rylan, you're coming with me this time.
Right? Why?
Because she believes in sink or swim when it comes to showing the weird.
Yeah, because you are either going... Because last time we had somebody, anytime we got even someone in your category of anxiety, every time we got even like in the vicinity of something like that, they had a meltdown. So I'm just going to make sure you can't have a meltdown because you've already had the meltdown.
Let's face it. Aaron was not riddled with anxiety. He was riddled with depression. There's a difference.
And I'm
Also
going to also
that.
need Barnabas to carry stuff.
No, you are not even in the same category.
Nope.
Not in the same league. Not even playing the same fucking sport.
Yeah, literally the only similarity thus far is
You're both wood
Elf?
elves.
issues. That's it. The type of issue is completely different.
You try. God damn it, you try, and I love you for it.
Yeah. You make the attempt. You always make the attempt.
You roll with things and you enjoy
Let's
things.
put it this way.
You actually enjoy things. You understand what a difference that is from the last one.
Yep. Which
Let's put it this way.
also, by extension, makes you an infinitely better elf than most elves.
Oh, come on. The shopkeep at Creature
I
Features
don't. I
was
can't
nice.
think of anybody else.
Most.
I
They're
cannot think of
case-by-case
anyone
basis
else. That
universally.
would be.
You haven't met most, though. Can we do most of the ones you've heard about? We have not met a nasty... Okay, we met one nasty elf. Ree told me about the up themselves one at the trial you were asked to officiate at. But Davith, the dude at Creature Features.
We've been very lucky, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah. So the ones you've heard about, the ones you've met, you've actually got a pretty good track record.
Yeah,
mean-
Met is...
I assume you didn't meet a whole lot when you were living in that Elvenwild castle.
Yeah, meeting people is kind of difficult when you're in one room for years.
I know. I was trying to make slight light. You're actually doing...
That's why I'm running with it. Meeting people is very difficult when you're stuck in a room for forever.
Yeah, well, I think...
Let me put it to you like this, Batman. I can't think of any other person that would so epitomize the term Magic 8 Ball Man as well as you do. Love you for it. Anyway,
I'm never going to live this down, am I?
You have become the Sphere of 8.
Look, there's all manner of shit various of us will never live down. Hazel and the crockery, and half the time she brings it up herself, if Darvin doesn't beat her to it.
Yep. Part of how
I'm
I
very
kind of ended up
familiar
known
with
as...
the taste of my own boot.
How I've become known as the essence of yeet is because there was flail, I let go of the hammer.
You never saw her with a hammer. I gave her my axe long before you joined up.
Yeah, I was
That was
carrying
the
a hammer
day
of
we
similar
met.
proportion.
Yes, weren't you meebling into a pathetic pile of coppers because you'd been chased out of the fancy party you were playing at when you discovered you were a bard and made everybody sneeze feathers?
Yeah. I kept thinking how the head of the staff was henpecking everyone, and the Baron was acting like a puffed up cock. Rooster, sorry.
No, I think you were right the first time. Let's just be glad it took it as the farmyard animal and not into prurient places. They could have been sneezing.
Feathers would have been the least of the problem.
Yeah, they could have been. Yeah, they could have been sneezing something. So much, probably less painful, but grosser than feathers. The world's worst neti pot.
Darvin is like trying to. I will not fall out of my seat in laughter. Okay, I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
here. I'm here.
Alana has fallen out of her chair laughing. Niala is just... You do this specifically to, like, just get the worst out of the way, don't you? Yep. Works pretty well, wouldn't you say? I hate
Best
that
filter
you're right.
ever.
I get it out of everyone's system because we're going to be heading for her Grace's Bower fairly soon, and it'd be nice for them to be paying attention when they walk in because apparently things get thrown.
That place is more yeet than I am.
Wonder what would happen if we yeeted you into it.
We should try that.
I
We need to try
mean-
that.
Okay.
Because we've already seen what happens when I yeet Ava.
At which
That
point,
was very
Flying
successful.
nobles.
Alice really is just like, you know what? Okay, fine. It takes Hazel, drapes sort of fireman's lift, so
Oh, jeez.
mind out for the feathers. You guys want
Just
to
walk.
Yeah, because apparently we're just getting this.
We might.
Yeah, Niala's like, go.
Hello.
Good idea.
Garvin just kind of
Yes.
waves and runs.
Addendum. Not just a squawk, but also a whoop.
Yeah, Alice probably. The only reason you guys even halfway catch up is because Alice pauses on a rooftop to hitch Hazel into more piggyback carry, so she can actually do the Falcor on the Luck Dragon thing.
How much have we gone into Ride of the Valkyries?
It's either that or the Never-Ending Story. Take your pick.
We're closer to Never-Ending Story, given that it's singular flying creature.
Still, yar.
Yeah, and at which point Alice decides, you know what, fuck it. I have not had sufficient fun in a while, of this variety anyway. Boots the door open, grabs Hazel by belt and collar. Incoming!
I'm just shrieking the whole way in.
Oh no, you're not in. She does this at the doorway.
Yeah, that's kind
Outside
of
the door.
When she tosses, I'm just shrieking the whole way along.
Yep, it's the people in there have actually cleared a path, so you go flying and skid to a halt, actually directly in front of the bar, so she's managed to pitch you a good 15 feet. And she probably wasn't even trying that hard. At which point there is applause, and you guys kind of jog around the corner to the. Very briefly, you hear the sound of applause, and Hazel probably, piping new highs, and the door shuts and the soundproofing kicks in. So apparently you missed the yeet, but
Dang. Oh well.
although all things considered, Hazel, you do actually take 1 point of bludgeoning damage. Just a minor bruise from having polished bits of the floor with your face.
Oh, wait, how much? Sorry, I didn't.
1.
The clatter.
1.
Got it. Yeah, I'm at this point.
So,
I pop back. While they're dealing with that, I'll pop back up and.
Yeah, you guys walk in as the Fearbolg barmaid puts a couple of bottles. Doesn't even ask them what their order is. Just, you guys know that she's pretty good at picking that kind of thing. Bunk on the house. It's been a slow. It's usually slow just after lunch for entertainment anyway. So.
Thank you. You are awesome.
And yeah,
Hazel's got a future career as a floor polisher.
and Alice says, like, I skidded her right to in front of the bar.
Bravo. Fucking oh.
And yeah, Hazel seemed to enjoy it. So what the hell? And the barmaid is looking at you. Do you just want me to pick something?
Please.
Sure.
More of a cider for Ava. Apple, a little bit of cinnamon. Darwin gets the chocolate stout this time. So does Remy. And she actually reaches under the bar. There's a slight puff of steam, and Rylan gets a herbal tea.
Thanks.
Downstairs, I guess. Is Captain Len down there? Yeah, but you probably don't want to go down there.
Uh-oh.
He's not in a great mood.
That might actually be
Don't
double the
blame
reason
him.
too.
Any particular? Well, do you happen to know why?
No, he's just been yelling obscenities at pieces of paper for a while.
Ugh.
Multiple
Oh yeah,
pieces
we can get
of
down there.
paper.
Why?
He does have a much more massive workload all of a sudden, so I suppose that's to be expected.
Yeah, and we're not, and Alice says, and we're not saying anything more about that. Grabs Abe by the
Nope,
shoulders,
nope, nope.
gouges her towards the door.
I wasn't going to.
Like just double reasons.
Exit,
Go,
stage
go,
left.
Yeah, and down the stairs to, yeah, those are. Remy was in barracks for years, and she has never heard anything quite this creative, obscenities wise. Alice is like,
If
damn.
Darwin weren't busy moving, he'd be taking notes.
Well, this is when you get down to the bottom of the stairs and into the bottom room he's currently using as his office. So there's time and space to take notes because there are only a couple of guardsmen in there, and they are all scooping down fairly simple lunch as fast as they can in a sort of a this is where I go to have food, but I need to get out of here like right now because he's so mad.
Yeah, this "I must flee" expression.
And the reason why is explained when the noise from of this many people coming down the stairs gets him to look up and what the fuck are you doing here? Ugh, sorry. Actually, no, I'm not. What the fuck are you doing here?
Well, we have a few questions pertaining to the scourge turned fallen situation at Alice. Help.
I mean, I was gonna let Ree talk because soldier to soldier kind of thing, but
Remy,
We are
help.
trying to figure out exactly what's behind Jessamy and the fallen Asimara. We have one approach we're working on with the Mobius sisters helping with using the Speak with Dead spell to question her directly, but we're hoping to get your insight as well.
As well as just in terms of general numbers.
yeah, insight I can't get until I can actually figure out what the fuck is going on with these rosters.
Ah,
I mean, I didn't get out that much, but it looks like patrols have been shorted for weeks. And at first I figured, well, maybe they were just constantly on duty in the prison, whatever you're calling it now. But no, the numbers still don't add up.
boy.
So you think there's more missing fallen Asimar than we originally thought?
Well, I know there's more missing Aasimar, and not just Aasimar. I mean, yes, our guard was mostly Scourge Aasimar, but not 100%. And some of those have been missing. Alice were they on patrol with Aasimar? Yeah, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah,
Yeah.
not all of the missing might be runaways. And the very creative swearing in Darwin's Helm of Comprehend Languages has a difficult time keeping up with the amount of language swaps this one goes through.
Does it hit any of the ones any of us are actually directly familiar with?
Well, there's a few fairly common ones in Elven. There's a couple of surprisingly filthy and moderately rare ones in Halfling. An awful lot of Dwarven. But by and large is
That tracks.
celestial. By and large, though, it's celestial. And it takes talent to really be filthy and celestial, but the only person who's ever got more filthy is Alice.
It's raunchiest aria in existence is the impression I'm getting from what you're describing.
Something along those lines, yeah. Has that helped at all? Finally, back in common.
It's definitely suggesting she's been fallen longer than we thought.
Alice,
She was
Alice just said,
scheming.
that's the thing. It might not even be that. It might have been just that their fall got recognized as soon as they left the gates, and they had to hide somewhere. And if they were on patrol with somebody who wasn't falling and would potentially rat them out, they got put away. Lend is just, are you usually this euphemistic? I just don't want to waste more time with the swearing. Fair. So what else do you need from me? Because now I'm going to have to try and... I mean, how many of these do you think are dead and how many do you think are falling? I'm assuming all of the missing non-aasimar are dead.
Probably.
But
It sounds like a pretty safe bet.
But some of the aasimar might be dead too rather than fallen. Keep in mind... Keep in mind, I didn't know all of them particularly well. I didn't know most of them particularly well. What I can do is, if you come back after dinner time, I can have a list for you of the ones I can't get hold of. You can probably talk to, I imagine, the staff at the tower would probably know them best. They might be able to tell you what the numbers you're actually looking like are. Because I gotta tell you, I mean, apart from the spillover, like buildings being on fire, I've been told to let you deal with this. I believe the comment was something to the order of, this happened because of how this was handled on all fronts. The governor cannot handle it himself because he's got enough shit to deal with. So do we. So, Alice is just, it's my mess, we sort it out. Well, he said yours plural, but...
Understood.
I'm still saying they can blame me for this. Lend is just, well, it all would have been bullshit anyway. These people would be dead regardless. So, I mean, some of these people probably died before you got here. Or at least fled before you got here. I don't know which is which, because again, I've been stuck in a jail. Thankfully not actually doing time, but I might as well have been.
Yeah. We're sorry you got stuck in effectively walled out of the information until all of this came tumbling into your lap.
As ways of getting promotions go, I wouldn't really know. I haven't had many, but this is probably not a favorite.
We're going to keep doing our best to help get this straightened out, so all you have to concern yourself with is just replenishing staff.
Just sort it out. I will deal with numbers that I've still got left. Once we figure out, all I'll say is just, I honestly don't know the head space of some of them at this point. The other bit of information you might get is there were a couple of survivors from the ones who were out and about last night. I made sure that the governor's personal guard knew where they were. So you might also get some further interrogation out of them. Tell you what, I'll speak to the governor, and if he and his personal guard got any information, when you come for the list, I can share that with you. If you share what information the fucking Mobius twins got out of Jessamy.
Of course.
You got it.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have yet more things to write down. Partially because we are somewhat past time, but as it happens, this was not a fairly useful bit of stall, for once. Go me, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, hopefully. We may be missing an Ava, but hopefully we can cope. And deal with some of the results of the various bits of information gathering, and onwards to wherever you're going to apologize next come mornings, unless something comes to disrupt your evening, which it's D&D, you never know. Bye, guys.